It wasn't the time when many people visited the park, and the young woman sitting on a bench seemed to have a sudden desire to rest and enjoy the hint of spring in the air. She sat there, lost in thought. A bit of sadness showed on her face, but it hadn't yet changed her youthful features or her determined smile. A tall young man walked briskly through the park along the path close to where she was sitting. A boy with a suitcase followed him. When the young man saw the lady, his face turned red and then pale. He watched her closely as he came closer, feeling both hope and worry. He passed by her at a short distance, but it seemed she didn't notice him at all. About 50 yards ahead, he suddenly stopped and sat on a bench. The boy put down the suitcase and stared at him curiously with his sharp eyes. The young man took out his handkerchief and wiped his forehead. He had a nice handkerchief, a good forehead, and was attractive to look at. He said to the boy, "I want you to tell that lady on the bench a message. Let her know I'm heading to the station to go to San Francisco for an Alaska moose hunting trip. Tell her that since she told me not to talk to her or write to her anymore, I'm using this way to make a last appeal to her fairness, based on what we've had. Tell her that rejecting and pushing away someone who doesn't deserve it, without explaining or giving them a chance, doesn't seem like her true self. Tell her that I'm bending her rules a bit in the hope that she'll consider fairness. Go, and tell her that." The young man gave the boy a coin. The boy looked at him for a moment with smart eyes from his dirty but clever face, and then started running. He approached the lady on the bench somewhat unsure but not embarrassed. He tipped his old plaid bicycle cap on the back of his head. The lady looked at him calmly, without any bias. "Miss," he said, "that guy on the other bench sent you a message through me. If you don't know the guy, and he's trying to play smart, just say the word, and I'll get a cop here in 3 minutes. If you do know him, and he's being honest, I'll tell you the talk he sent you." The young lady showed a little interest. "A message," she said, speaking slowly with a sweet tone that seemed to wrap her words in a light, airy cloak of hidden meaning. "A novel idea, like a modern-day troubadour, I suppose. I used to be acquainted with the man who sent you, so I don't think I'll need to call the police. You can go ahead with your talk, but keep it down. It's a bit early for outdoor performances, and we might draw attention." "Oh," said the boy, giving a casual shrug, "you know what I mean, miss. It's not a performance, it's words. He asked me to tell you he's got his clothes in that bag for a trip all the way to Frisco. After that, he's planning to hunt snowbirds in the Klondike. He says you told him not to send any more love notes or come by your house, so he's using this way to give you a heads up. He says you gave him the cold shoulder without explaining why. He says you ended things without giving him a chance to object to the decision. He says you cut him off, and never told him why." The young lady's curiosity had grown a bit. Maybe it was the uniqueness or boldness of the snowbird hunter's approach that caught her attention. She looked at a statue standing alone in the messy park and spoke into the receiver. "Tell the guy that there's no need for me to repeat what I stand for. He knows my principles, what they've been and still are. In this situation, the most important things to me are complete loyalty and honesty. Tell him that I've thought about my own feelings deeply, and I know what I lack as well as what I want. That's why I won't listen to his pleas, whatever they are. I didn't judge him based on rumors or uncertain information, and that's why I didn't accuse him. But since he insists on hearing what he already knows well, you can tell him. Tell him I went into the conservatory that evening from the back to pick a rose for my mom. Tell him I saw him and Miss Ashburton standing close under the pink oleander. The scene looked nice, but the way they were standing and how near they were didn't need any explanation. I left the conservatory, and at the same time, I left behind the rose and my ideal. You can deliver that message to your performer. I'm stuck on one word, miss. Jux, can you tell me what that means? Juxtaposition, or you can think of it as being too close or near to someone when you're trying to keep a special status. The boy's feet kicked up the gravel as he ran to the other bench. The man's eyes questioned him, eager for information. The boy's eyes were bright with the enthusiasm of a messenger. The lady says she knows that girls are easily fooled when a guy tells ghost stories and tries to make up, and that's why she won't fall for any sweet talk. She says she caught you in the act, hugging another girl in the hothouse. She went inside to pick some flowers, and she found you hugging the other girl really tight. She thinks it might have looked cute, but it made her sick. She says you better get going and catch the train. The young man gave a quiet whistle, and his eyes lit up with a sudden idea. He put his hand in his coat pocket, took out a bunch of letters, and chose one to give to the boy. Then he handed over a silver dollar from his vest pocket. Give this letter to the lady, he said, and ask her to read it. Let her know that this letter should clear things up. Tell her that a little trust mixed with her idea of the ideal could have saved a lot of heartache. Tell her that the loyalty she values so much has never wavered. Tell her I'm waiting for her response. The messenger stood in front of the lady. The guy says he got the wrong rap without any reason. He says he's not a bad guy, and, lady, if you read that letter, I bet he's a good guy, for sure. The young lady unfolded the letter, feeling a little unsure, and read it. Dear Dr. Arnold, I want to thank you for your kind help to my daughter last Friday evening, when she had a heart attack in the conservatory at Mrs. Waldron's party. Your quick action in catching her and giving her the right care saved her. I would appreciate it if you could visit us and treat her condition. Sincerely, Robert Ashburton. The young lady folded the letter again and gave it to the boy. The guy wants an answer, the messenger said. What should I tell him? The lady's eyes suddenly lit up with a bright, happy, and teary smile. Tell that guy on the other bench, she said, with a joyful laugh, that his girl wants him.